It's time for one of the most important episodes of the season. It's the merge episode for Survivor Thailand. Last time, chaotic drama took over the Koh Tao camp after the idol blindside that took out Joe, and even Wesley got some heat from Morgan for flipping on their alliance. Though, after getting a lifeline thanks to Morgan's idol, Jordan did not quit playing the game and instead tried to get Wesley back on his side to hopefully gain the control back and take out one of the other three people in the majority. With immunity on the line once again, Koh Tao seemed to have an early setback, but Sabrina and Nora struggled, losing them the challenge and sending them to Tribal Council. Of course, Trance was the easy vote, but Corey and Zaylin were fed up by Nora's inconsistencies in challenges and they even started to distrust her. Despite Luciano's efforts to save his close ally, the majority alliance was broken and Nora was unanimously taken out, right before the merge. With the tribes now disbanding and coming together as one, what sort of dynamics will form and who will be the targets for this merge vote? We'll find this out today. It's day 19 in the game, and both tribes arrive to their mats. Koh Tao finds out Nora was last voted out, and all of them are pretty stunned. Justin then takes back Koh Tao's immunity statue, claiming that after 19 days, this statue is going away for good. That's because Koh Tao and Koh Poda must now merge into one tribe, and everyone starts celebrating. Justin then lets them all know that from now on, they will compete individually. The goal is to reach Final 2 and get the jury votes to win this game. Anyone voted out is on the jury, so it's up to the players to manage their jurors carefully. He then tells the new merged tribe that their color will be black. They must come up with a new tribe name that they'll use for the rest of the season, and he'll expect the name at tomorrow's reward challenge. With that, Justin hands them a map to their new tribe and they all start heading out. In confessional, Chloe claps to herself for reaching merge. This is a huge milestone for her, especially because nobody is going to look at her as a threat moving forward. They can't use lacking challenge strength as a reason for vote-offs anymore. In another confessional, Trance breathes out heavily, finding it super difficult to believe he made merge after such a rocky pre-merge. This is his time for redemption. He can save his game with this merge and make things right again. We're now on the merged tribe's camp, and everyone sits or stands around the campfire, introducing each other while Morgan works on starting a fire with her flint. In confessional, Kaylee says she's extremely glad she made merge. She had a bumpy ride to get to this point, and now she feels pretty solid in her position. She's currently in an alliance with Chloe, Lizel, and Wesley, and she also has previous associations with Sabrina and Zaylin. That's all she needs to have a majority. The only thing she isn't sure about is how close Sabrina and Zaylin are to people like Corey and Jordan. It's possible they would rather stick to those guys, but she'll have to do some work to pry them off of them. In another confessional, Jordan says he's extremely pumped for this merge because he has a lot of people he can try to work with. Firstly, he has never met Luciano or Trance, so those two are people he can try to connect with and invite to his alliance with Morgan. He also has a good relationship with Zaylin and Corey, so perhaps he can do something with them again to have control over this merge. The only people he will not be able to work with are Chloe, Sabrina, and Kaylee. Those three are definitely going after him, especially because he hasn't voted with them several times. He might need to target one of them out first. After introductions, Trance and Sabrina walk around together, looking for the merge idol. They look through a few bushes together, and Trance lets Sabrina know that he's good with her moving forward. Sabrina smiles and says she's glad to hear that. In confessional, Sabrina says that she has something going with Trance at the moment. He seemed very thankful after getting saved last Tribal Council, so she's going to use that relationship with him to her advantage. Sabrina then tells Trance that it's no surprise she's close with Kaylee, and she wants to reunite with her. She also warns Trance to never trust Morgan and Jordan. Those two are manipulators, hardcore. Trance nods and says he understands. He heard about their reputation multiple times, As idol hunting continues, multiple people try searching discreetly, while others don't even care looking in front of other people. In confessional, Corey says that finding the merge idol is extremely important because as one of the bigger guys here, he needs that protection for future instances where he's in danger of going to jury. He doesn't plan on relying on immunity wins. It's simply too difficult. He needs to instead rely on his relationships with people, and right now, he's sticking to his swap co-POTA people that he just voted with to get Nora out. If he can also get Morgan and Jordan on side, that's 7 people who can work together. More time passes in the day, and Chloe tells Wesley they need to look for the idol in the trees. She has a feeling it'll be hidden in one of them. Wesley nods and looks up at every tree. In confessional, Wesley says that he's in an interesting position because a lot of people want to work with him. Chloe trusts him a lot, and Jordan expects him to work with him as well. Both Chloe and Jordan are sort of on opposite sides, so it'll be rough if they target each other at this merge vote since he has to pick a side. As Wesley looks around, he notices an idol attached to a tree, and he looks around, seeing no one around. He quickly snatches the idol and tucks it away on him. He is amazed and tries to hide his reaction so nobody accidentally runs into him celebrating. At camp, a few people leave for the well, leaving Luciano and Morgan together. Morgan finally lights the fire, and Luciano says good job to her. She thanks him and asks him how he currently feels about this merge. Luciano says he's nervous like everyone else. It's a new experience for everyone. In confessional, Luciano admits he feels like he has a great chance to make it very far into this game. Nobody really has any beef with him, and there are even people approaching him for an alliance. Not to mention, he still has his hidden immunity idol from co-POTA, so he has extra safety in the case he's in danger at some point. At this moment, he's leaning towards sticking with his co-POTA people, but of course, it's worrying that it could leave him on the bottom after a few tribal councils. There's a bit too many people in this alliance. It's basically him, Corey, Zaylin, Trance, Sabrina, and now it has Morgan and Jordan in it because of their relationship with Corey. It wouldn't take long for this alliance to split up since there's simply too many of them, and that's something he needs to watch out for. Morgan then tells Luciano she's really happy about this potential alliance they can be in with co-POTA and herself and Jordan. She doesn't even mind having Wesley as a loose 8th number. Luciano nods and asks Morgan who she would want to go after first from the people not in the alliance, and Morgan says she personally wants Kaylee out. Chloe isn't a bad option either, but she has personal stuff with Kaylee. Luciano says he understands they have bad blood, so he's personally cool with taking her out if that's the plan at the merge tribal. Some time passes in the day, and Chloe talks with Kaylee, Lizel, and Sabrina, telling them that they need to group up right now before Jordan and Morgan get their numbers in line. Sabrina agrees and tells the girls that she's very worried about the alpha players linking up now. In confessional, Sabrina says that she's not looking forward to working with Jordan and Morgan. She would much rather everyone target them. But the problem is that Corey and Zaylin want to work with them, so now, she's thinking about flipping on all of them and working with Kaylee's side instead. Sabrina then tells them that the big 4 they need to worry about are Jordan, Morgan, Corey, and Zaylin. Lizel backs up Sabrina's thought here, saying that she knows how close those 4 are. Chloe then asks Lizel if there's any chance Zaylin would flip on them, but Lizel breathes out and says she's truly torn on that. In confessional, Lizel says she obviously loves Zaylin, but they've been a bit more distant ever since the second swap. She's not the same since day 1, and things don't feel the same without Ella anymore. Sabrina then tells the group that she personally doesn't think Zaylin will detach herself from those big dogs because she flipped on Ella and Trance in a heartbeat. Lizel shakes her head and says she's super disappointed that Ella was voted out like that, especially since they could have just voted Nora out to begin with. Kaylee then tells the group that they need to try getting Trance on side in that case, since he might be bitter with his old tribe. Sabrina agrees and says she already had some small talk with him, so it's possible they'll get him in with them. Meanwhile, Morgan talks with Corey and Zaylin, asking them if they are sure they have enough numbers to hold the majority on this new merged tribe. Corey says he thinks they are fine. He feels good about the 7 they have. In confessional, Zaylin says her closest ally is obviously Corey, so she has no reason to flip on him. Her hope is to get Lizel into this alliance because that's a relationship she doesn't want to lose either. She's just a bit ticked off that Corey isn't really inclusive with her and is making her out to be someone on the bottom right now. Zaylin then tells Corey and Morgan that she feels like they could get Lizel to trust them. That's someone who is loyal to the soil, and she would never fuck Lizel over. Corey shrugs and says he's not going to say he's confident in her vote. Morgan agrees with Corey, warning Zaylin that Lizel is technically in that girls' alliance the two of them had with Kaylee and Sabrina. Zaylin scratches her head and says that alliance isn't a thing anymore. It was just a cover-up. Morgan shrugs and says Lizel technically spent a lot of time with Kaylee lately, so they could try reviving that group. This also makes her trust Sabrina less, even though Corey thinks she's good with them. Corey tells Morgan to trust her that Sabrina is with them. She's not going anywhere from this alliance. It's now day 20, and everyone arrives to the challenge mats for their reward challenge. Justin firstly asks the tribe what they decided to call themselves, and Sabrina says they decided to call themselves Lanta because it's another Thailand island they are familiar with. Justin thanks them for coming up with it, welcoming Lanta to their first reward as a merged group of players. In this challenge, they must all stand on a balance beam and outlast the rest. Anyone who falls will be out of this challenge. The last player standing will win reward, and it's a pretty big one. The winner will get to decide between 2 options. They may either take an immunity necklace for this round, meaning they are immune at tomorrow's tribal council, or they can take a public idol for themselves which can be played on anyone, anytime before Final 4. The choice is theirs. With that, everyone is now on a balance beam, and Justin confirms this challenge is now on. Everyone seems pretty solid at first, and different people have different strategies of how to stay on the beam. An hour in, Kaylee falls off of her beam first, so she sits down next to the beam. Everyone else is still in it, and Trance begins to rock back and forth a bit. He saves himself, and meanwhile, Zaylin falls over, and Sabrina also gets off of her beam. We're now down to 8 people standing. Corey, Morgan, and Lizel haven't moved an inch since this challenge started. Wesley wobbles around like crazy, but shockingly, Jordan falls off the beam next out of nowhere. We're now down to 7 people left. A few minutes pass, and Morgan loses her balance and falls off the beam. Chloe also falls off, meaning we are down to 5 people. It's Lizel, Corey, Wesley, Trance, and Luciano. As a reminder, the winner of this challenge will pick between immunity or a public idol. More time goes on, and Wesley continues to struggle balancing on his beam. Trance also starts wobbling around, while the other 3 remain still. Wesley eventually falls off, meaning we are down to 4 people. Lizel then also jumps off her beam, meaning we are down to Trance, Corey, and Luciano. Luciano looks in the zone now, and Corey is still very still on the beam. Trance finally stops wobbling around and is now in the zone. 35 minutes pass, and all 3 guys are still on their beams. Everyone claps for them as they have now reached an hour into this challenge. Luciano starts to wobble around, while Corey and Trance remain still. Luciano then leaps off his beam, meaning we are at a showdown between Corey and Trance. Another hour passes by, meaning we're at the 3-hour mark. Everyone is amazed by their performance, and of course, some people decide to sleep due to boredom. Corey then starts wobbling for the first time in this challenge, but he saves himself. Another 15 minutes pass, and both Trance and Corey start feeling the heat getting to them. Sweat drips from both of them, and it starts bothering Corey. Suddenly, Corey steps off the beam, accepting defeat, meaning Trance has won reward. He sits on the ground and celebrates his win. Everyone else congratulates him, and some give props to Corey for his effort. Back on the mat, Justin congratulates Trance on his reward win, and he thanks him. Justin then asks Trance if he has made up his mind on what he would rather want between immunity or an idol. Trance says he will go for the idol because it's more interesting to him right now. Justin nods and goes over to hand him the idol. It doesn't replace Lanta's hidden idol, so it could still be out there, hidden somewhere in or near camp. With that, he sends the tribe back to camp, so they all make their way out. In confessional, Trance says he chose the idol over the necklace because he doesn't feel like he needs immunity this round. Plus, he can always compete for immunity tomorrow, so why not just take the idol? Sure, it could put a target on his back eventually, but for now, he's considered a key number for both sides of the tribe. Back at Lanta's camp, Zaylin walks off with Trance and Lizel, and they stand by a tree to chat. In confessional, Zaylin says she wants to keep her old alliance intact with Lizel and Trance, especially now that they have merged. It's important to have a solid alliance at this stage in the game, so she needs Trance and Lizel to remain loyal. Zaylin then tells the two that she wants to move forward with them for good now. There's no more betrayals from them. Trance nods and says he's good with that. The past is the past. This is a fresh start for them. Lizel agrees and asks Zaylin who they can trust at the moment. Zaylin suggests they stick with Corey because him, Jordan, and Morgan will always be huge targets ahead of them. Eventually, they can flip on those three once the numbers dwindle a bit. That would mean they would have to vote out Kaylee and Chloe first, and it's probably Kaylee if she doesn't win immunity. It could always change, though. Lizel nods and says she obviously has a relationship with those two girls, so it'll be tough for her to flip on them. Zaylin tells Lizel she doesn't want her to be on the bottom after tomorrow's vote, so it's important not to work with Kaylee and Chloe. It'll just piss off Corey, Jordan, and Morgan. Meanwhile, Corey chats with Jordan, and Corey admits that he doesn't like this idol in Trance's possession. Jordan smirks and says it's already making Trance a huge target. In confessional, Jordan doesn't really understand why Trance has to be included in this majority alliance when they already have 6 to 7 others who are solid. He says 7 because Wesley could easily replace Trance. The last thing they all need is for Trance to use his idol tomorrow and take out one of them in the majority. Jordan then suggests to Corey they lie to Trance about the vote tomorrow. Or even today if that's the plan. They don't need to tell him it's Kaylee. Or, they could even switch to Chloe and claim they are doing Kaylee. Maybe Trance would waste his idol on Kaylee. Corey says he's starting to think that's their best play now. They don't really need Trance after this anyway. In confessional, Corey says that although he kept Trance last tribal council, it doesn't mean they are solid in their trust with one another. Trance has shown multiple hiccups in their trust with each other, so unfortunately, he doesn't see a path with the two of them going forward. It might be best to leave Trance in the dark tomorrow. Later on, Luciano chats with Chloe, happy to see her again. Chloe says she's happy too. She wishes they could have linked up yesterday, but there was so much going on. Luciano says it doesn't matter. They can just talk about their thoughts of this merge right now. In confessional, Luciano says he really liked Chloe in the past. They worked well together, and then the swap split them up. Now that they are here on Lanta together, maybe it's an opportunity for them to link up again and work together. Luciano tells Chloe this could be a great opportunity for them to run this game together. He lost his good ally, Nora. She lost her good ally, Joe. Chloe nods and says she has been extremely pissed at Jordan and Morgan ever since they took Joe out. Especially Morgan because she's basically Jordan's sheep at this point. Luciano then tells Chloe he's willing to work with her side, and he asks her who she has. Chloe admits she's not exactly sure how the numbers will go down, but she definitely trusts Kaylee and Sabrina the most. She's a bit unsure with Liesl since she has a connection with Zaylin and Corey. She's also unsure about Wesley because he used to work with Jordan and Morgan at the beginning, though at least he flipped on them recently when Joe got out. There's also Trance, who is a wild card, and she personally doesn't trust him. Luciano tells her that Trance might not be the best number to rely on. He might be more loyal to Corey and Zaylin after saving him last vote. Chloe nods and tells Luciano they'll touch base more later, or maybe tomorrow when they have to talk about the vote. Wesley finds Jordan and Morgan together, so he joins them and fills them in that he has the merge idol. Both Jordan and Morgan are shocked to hear this, and he says he's not bullshitting them. He found it on a tree. In confessional, Wesley says he wants to give his idol information to Jordan and Morgan to lock in their alliance from now on. He doesn't want there to be any more distrust between them, so showing his idol to them is the best way to solidify their trust now. Morgan thanks him for sharing this, and she then tells him that she has a legacy advantage that she wants to play tomorrow night to ensure she stays. Unless she wins immunity, of course. Jordan laughs and says he has something too. He has Ko Tao's idol, and Morgan starts flipping out by the amount of items they all have. In confessional, Morgan says that herself, Jordan, and Wesley are suddenly one of the most powerful alliances in the game now. All three of them have something they can use that is powerful. Mind you, they are also in a possible majority right now. This is extremely good for them, especially if they can use their items correctly. Jordan then tells the two that he isn't sure if it's smart to use his idol tomorrow or not. He could be a target. Wesley says he's unsure because the other side doesn't want to lock in a name for the vote until after tomorrow's immunity. Jordan says he might try to keep the idol since they have a majority with Corey, Zaylin, and Luciano, so they are pretty much solid. They might even have Sabrina on side, though that's hard to believe. Morgan shakes her head repeatedly and tells them to never trust Sabrina. She'll always side with Kaylee. Wesley agrees and says it's best to keep her out of the next vote. It's now day 21, and it's time for the next immunity challenge. Justin shows the individual immunity necklace, one they are familiar with from day 1 of this game. In this challenge, everyone will need to keep 2 discs on their beams using their elbows. If at any point one or both discs fall, the person is out of the challenge. The last player standing will win immunity, safe from tonight's vote. As for everyone else, someone will be voted out tonight, and they will become the first jury member. With that, everyone is between 2 of their own beams, and they hold up their discs with their elbows. The challenge is now on, and Justin warns them that it'll be extra hot today, so they'll need to bear the heat too. Chloe immediately drops both of her arms down, meaning she's the first eliminated from this challenge. Everyone else remains in place for 5 more minutes, and then, Zaylin drops her discs. We're down to 9, and many people start to sweat from the heat. Wesley starts to shake, and he finally gives up and drops his discs. Kaylee also begins to shake in pain, but remains in the challenge. Jordan is next to drop out of this challenge, and soon after, Sabrina follows. We're down to 6. Morgan, Trance, Kaylee, Liesl, Luciano, and Corey. After some more time, Luciano drops out of the challenge, and so do Kaylee and Corey back to back. It's only down to Morgan, Trance, and Liesl fighting for immunity. Morgan says out loud to Trance to drop out since he already has an idol, but Trance laughs and says no. More time passes, and the 3 continue fighting for immunity. All 3 struggle to keep their arms steady as they shake from pain. Morgan then drops at the 30-minute mark, leaving just Trance and Liesl. Both of their arms shake, but they continue fighting through the pain and the heat. "7 minutes pass, and Trance almost slips. But then, Liesl drops one of her discs, and that means Trance has one individual immunity, safe from tonight's vote. He kneels down, amazed that he won another challenge. Liesl shakes her numb arms around and she goes over to congratulate Trance. On the mat, Justin congratulates Trance on his win and invites him up for the necklace. Everyone claps as Trance heads up, and Justin places the necklace on him. He confirms he won't go anywhere tonight. As for everyone else, someone will be the 10th person voted out and the first member of the jury. They have time to discuss what will happen back at camp. With that, everyone starts walking back to camp, and in confessional, Kaylee says that it's time for her side to win this war. She wants to take out Morgan or Jordan tonight, no doubt. They are her enemy. If she had to guess, they are probably going to vote for Chloe as the safe vote, so herself and Chloe need to ensure they lock in their 6 to 7 numbers to stay. Everyone arrives to camp after the challenge, and many congratulate Trance on his second merge challenge win. He thanks them all and laughs to himself as he says that he hopes nobody sees him as this season's challenge beast. In confessional, Trance admits that he just wanted to confirm his own safety for this first round of merge. After tonight, he'll hopefully be in a steady alliance that he can move forward with, from which he won't have to worry about his own safety that much anymore. This merge is a bit of a reset for him. He's constantly thinking about his girlfriend and how eager they are to take the next step into their relationship. He really wants to be the winner this season, not just to prove himself as a player, but to also win the money for himself and his girlfriend. As Lanta begins spreading out to hold game conversations, Chloe, Luciano, Kaylee, Sabrina, and Wesley chat together. Kaylee asks the group if they would like to target one of Morgan or Jordan tonight, and Sabrina says yes. They are the biggest targets in the game. Luciano then asks if anyone here knows of any idols that could be in their hands, but Kaylee says she doesn't have any clue. Luciano says his main concern is that they will be too obvious with their votes on one of Morgan or Jordan. He feels like it's much smarter to target someone else who is close to them. Someone like Corey or Zaylin. In confessional, Luciano says that he sees tonight's vote getting very close, something like 6 to 5 or 7 to 4. It's crucial not to lose a single number on this side of the tribe because they might risk a tie at final 10. He wanted to lead this vote not only to avoid an idle play, but also to make this a move he can claim at the end. He can tell the jury he suggested Corey and Zaylin as possible targets because he knew they would distrust him anyway for flipping at the first merge vote. Sabrina then says that she would vote Corey tonight since he's more buddy-buddy with Jordan and Morgan. Chloe agrees and says that they'll lock in for Corey then. Meanwhile, Corey, Zaylin, Liesl, Jordan, and Morgan chat together, and Morgan points out how half the tribe is basically missing, so it's obvious there's another side working together. Jordan agrees and says they'll hopefully learn who Kaylee and Chloe are targeting for tonight's vote. Corey then asks if they are set to vote Chloe tonight, but Morgan says she would rather vote Kaylee first. Chloe is horrible at these challenges, so she's not a threat. Kaylee meanwhile could win herself an immunity. She's also much more social than Chloe. Zaylin then asks what they should tell Trance for this vote, and Jordan thinks they could just say it's Chloe to him and then instead vote Kaylee. At least like that, Trance would use his idol on Chloe if he truly is working with the other side. In confessional, Jordan says that this plan to vote Kaylee should be foolproof. There should be roughly 6 to 7 votes on Kaylee, while Trance votes Chloe, and then roughly 3 votes on someone in their alliance, those 3 votes likely coming from Chloe, Kaylee, and maybe Sabrina if she's working with Kaylee again. The only thing that can go wrong is Corey, Zaylin, and Liesl flipping. Those are his key numbers for this vote. Later on, Wesley meets up with Jordan, letting him know the other side's plan to vote Corey. Jordan nods and asks him if he's sure they are actually voting him or if maybe they lied while talking about it. Wesley shrugs and says it seemed pretty legit. Kaylee was the one to say Corey's name. Jordan squints and says he's a bit suspicious that she made up that name just while talking with him around. Maybe she has another name in mind that her real alliance plans to vote. It's basically the strategy they two are using against Trance, where they are lying to Trance about Chloe being the vote. In confessional, Jordan says that if he feels off about anything tonight, he's going to use his idol. Whether it's on himself, or Corey, or even Zaylin. One of the three of them are definitely getting votes, and if there doesn't seem to be enough numbers, he's going to use the idol just to be safe. Wesley then tells Jordan he doesn't think they need to worry. The only problem is that Luciano is seemingly flipped to the other side, along with Sabrina. Jordan says that probably leaves it at a 6-5 tonight. The two of them, Morgan, Corey, Zaylin, and Liesl, are the 6. Wesley nods and says he'll vote Kaylee tonight as planned. Later on, Jordan reports to Corey and Zaylin, letting them know that the other side said they were voting Corey. In addition, it's possible Luciano and Sabrina have flipped sides. Zaylin then asks if Wesley is also with that side, but Jordan says no. He says Wesley is firmly with their side. He knows for sure. In confessional, Corey admits it's a bit worrying to hear his own name for this first vote. He knew being one of the bigger physical guys coming into this merge would intimidate people into voting him. However, he'll hold on to hope that he still has 6 numbers against Kaylee tonight. Jordan then says that he wouldn't be surprised if the other side realized Wesley was acting as a double agent, so maybe they lied about voting Corey. Maybe they are voting someone else. Zaylin breathes out and says she really doesn't want to go home tonight. This vote makes her super nervous. Corey tells her to relax. They are going to be fine. Sabrina chats with Liesl, asking her if she knows which side she's sticking with, because she herself is also deciding that. In confessional, Sabrina says that Liesl and Trance are the swing votes tonight. She already told Trance to vote Corey, but now she has to make sure Liesl does too. That's someone who has been loyal to the girls' alliance since the first swap. Liesl then tells Sabrina that she's leaning towards voting out Corey. All she knows is Kaylee is getting the votes from that side. Sabrina says she too is leaning towards just voting Corey. He's a big threat for them in the long run. He has some pretty stable connections out here. In confessional, Liesl says it would really suck to flip on Zaylin by voting out Corey. She knows how close those two are. However, she cannot forget how Corey and Zaylin flipped on Ella. They probably would do the same to her one day. She has to play for herself this season, and if she feels like working with Kaylee, Sabrina, and Chloe is the way to go, she'll do it. Later on before Tribal, Sabrina finds Kaylee and Luciano together, warning Kaylee she's getting the votes from the other side tonight. Kaylee thanks Sabrina for informing her, stating that she's going to remain calm tonight since she trusts they have the votes. In confessional, Kaylee says that tonight's vote will hopefully lead to a Corey elimination. Herself, Sabrina, Luciano, Chloe, Liesl, Wesley, and Trance are going to vote for him. It's possible Trance, Wesley, or even Liesl flip. She's only really sure about Sabrina, Luciano, and Chloe voting Corey. And obviously her own vote too. Sabrina then tells the two she needs to talk with Trance so he knows the plan. She hasn't talked to him yet. Kaylee tells her to go now since it'll be too late if they wait. Meanwhile, Corey chats with Trance alone, letting him know quickly that the word going around is Chloe as the vote. Trance nods and says he'll go through with it. In confessional, Corey says he has to lie about this vote to Trance. His alliance agreed he cannot be trusted with that public idol. If he decides to betray the alliance and use his idol on Chloe, it'll be jokes on him because they are actually all voting for Kaylee. Then, he will probably be the one booted afterwards. Sabrina then finds Corey and Trance, asking them if she can join in. Corey says sure, so she asks who the vote is. Corey says it's Chloe. Sabrina stays quiet for a second and then says she's cool with that plan. Corey then turns around momentarily, and Sabrina points at Corey in front of Trance. It's night 21, and Lanta arrives to tribal council and take their seats. Justin welcomes the 11 of them and reminds them all they are only 12 days away from the finale. He turns to Sabrina, asking her how the gameplay has changed since day one, and Sabrina says it's definitely getting hectic. Now that they've all merged, the game is much more cutthroat. Alliances will be getting checked tonight, and it might even determine how the rest of the merge goes. Justin then turns to Jordan, asking him if this merge perhaps heightens any emotions for anyone, and Jordan says he feels like this group of people doesn't get that emotional. Like Sabrina said, things are getting cutthroat. People are looking at how they can get themselves further into this game. Screwing up now isn't something anyone can afford on day 21. Justin then asks Lizel how much paranoia played a factor these past few days, and Lizel says it played a huge factor. People have been trying to figure out who they can trust and who they cannot trust. It's been a mess for sure. Justin then asks Morgan if that statement from Lizel is something everyone can agree upon, and Morgan says yes. There are a lot of people with varying opinions in this merge. There are varying alliances as well. Perhaps there are two sides that are brewing up a full-on war tonight. Justin looks at Kaylee, asking her why she's smiling, and Kaylee says it's pretty obvious to everyone there are two sides, so she's just laughing to herself because she's nervous. Justin asks her if she's nervous she could be the one going tonight, and Kaylee says yes. She feels like she's firmly on one side because people from the other side haven't approached her a single time. Justin then asks Chloe if she feels like she's firmly on one side, and Chloe nods. She too hasn't been approached by the other side, just like Kaylee. It's clear they are the two obvious votes for that other side, so it's just a question of which one of them is their true target. Justin then turns to Zaylin, asking her if perhaps split votes have been in question for this first merge vote, and Zaylin shrugs. She doesn't know for certain what will go on tonight, but she knows what name she'll be writing down. Morgan then says that people should fear an idol or two tonight. Everyone turns to her, and Morgan continues by stating that nobody wants to go out first in this merge. They'd have to watch from that jury bench every night knowing that they could be sitting right here in these seats if they just played their damn idol. Justin laughs, asking Corey if he knows what Morgan means by all of this, and Corey says it's possible she's just warning people to play their idols tonight. Either to flush them out or it's a real concern for an ally. Justin asks Trance how he feels about tonight's vote, and Trance thinks for a second. He then says that he's just really glad he has the immunity necklace on. This merge vote will likely draw a line in the sand, and he wants to make sure he's on the right side of that vote. The side that he wants to work with. Justin then wraps up the discussion and says it's time to vote, so everyone prepares.
I'll tally the votes. If anyone has a hidden immunity idol and they want to play it, now would be the time to do so. Morgan is using an advantage tonight. That advantage is the legacy advantage, allowing her to play it at the first merge vote or the final 6 tribal council. When played, it acts as a hidden immunity idol. That means any votes cast against Morgan tonight won't count. It seems Jordan is playing his hidden immunity idol tonight, and he's using it on himself. Any votes for Jordan or Morgan tonight won't count. Anyone else? Alright, I'll read the votes. First vote. Corey. Kaylee. That's 1 vote Corey, 1 vote Kaylee. Corey. Kaylee. We're tied, 2 votes Corey, 2 votes Kaylee. Corey. 3 votes Corey. Kaylee. Tied again, 3 votes Corey, 3 votes Kaylee. Corey. 4 votes Corey, 3 votes Kaylee. Kaylee. That's 4 votes Corey, 4 votes Kaylee. Corey. 5 votes Corey, 4 votes Kaylee, 2 votes left. Kaylee. Tied again. 5 votes Corey, 5 votes Kaylee, 1 vote left. 10th person voted out of Survivor Thailand and the first member of the jury. Corey.
The entire tribe is restless after this vote, and Corey gets up and Zaylin hugs him. Morgan then also hugs him, telling him it wasn't her who flipped. Meanwhile, Kaylee and Chloe smile and Luciano turns to Trance, giving him a nod. Corey puts his torch down and Justin snuffs the torch. He then heads out, wishing them all luck. Jordan smirks and shakes his head, and Morgan turns around and calls him an idiot. Justin tells the tribe to head back to camp, so they all make their way back. Corey's final thoughts. Corey is quite disappointed his journey ended here, but he expected it to be one of the physical people to go first. It was either him, Jordan, and Morgan, and unfortunately, Jordan used his idol on the wrong person. However, he can't blame him because it was basically a coin toss. Things just didn't feel right about Liesl, Sabrina, Wesley, and Trance, and at least 3 of them flipped to the other side. Trance obviously is one of them, so that's not a shocker. He's banking the other 2 flippers as Sabrina and Liesl since Wesley wasn't lying when he said he was getting the votes tonight. This season seems to be shaping up to be interesting, so hey, he can at least enjoy the show from the sidelines of the jury bench now.